Hello, guys. Happy to be back with you guys ahead of this great Premier League weekend that we have ahead of us. And yeah, so let's just start with a prayer as always, if you don't mind sharing it with me. Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for this day. I thank you so much for all your grace, God, for your mercy. No one is as great and as merciful as you, Lord. No one would die for us, would come down, being a God, come down in human form and suffer as we would have to and live a perfect life just so that we could be saved. We thank you for that, Lord. We thank you that just as you clothe the lilies, that you will clothe us, Lord, that we will not have to want, have to desire, and that just as you watch over the sparrows, as you crafted them, that you watch over us and you protect us, Lord. And we just thank you that for all the good, all the works that you're doing in our lives, and that even though we may not see it, that the struggles that we're going through are working together for the good, for our good. And yeah, I just want to ask you, Lord, to please fill me with your Holy Spirit, just the spirit of intelligence, the spirit of excellence, wisdom, so that this could be an amazing video that is enjoying for my viewers, and just bless all my viewers and their weeks. Let this video be edifying for them, or just entertaining rather, and that they will have great weeks. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, I pray, amen. All right, guys, so I'm back with you guys, obviously, and I'm just excited to get going into this weekend. I'm filming this pretty much like an hour and a half before the West Ham game, so I'm gonna try to get this out quickly for you guys. I want to do this every week now moving forward, and so I'm just gonna go over the narratives of each games, some score predictions, maybe some lineup predictions, and what I think is going to take place in the game, what I think tactically, I guess, might be the biggest points. So I'll just try to go through each team and be somewhat brief so that the video doesn't end up being too long, and yeah, hopefully you guys all enjoy it. So the first game of the weekend is going to be West Ham versus Chelsea. This is going to be Graham Potter's, game, one of his first games against Chelsea, club that he used to manage. Obviously, did not end well for him. It's one of their worst managers in recent history, and I think West Ham might end up suffering the same fate. I think he might be one of the first managers to be sacked. I think West Ham, they've just been so weak. They just lost 3-0 to Sunderland, who's obviously a recently promoted side. And, lately it's been 3 up, 3 down in the Premier League. So it's pretty embarrassing, to be honest, for a club the stature of West Ham, who has as many fans as them, but also just who's been up in the Premier League for, it feels like, such a long time. To do that, it's kind of embarrassing. But it is important to acknowledge this is the first home game for West Ham. I think it's always, and that's going to be one of the major themes of this video, is that I think I saw Boovy, if you know Boovy, Manchester City fan, who also makes videos, that he was mentioning this, and this is a big point. The first home game for a club is huge. The fans are always going to show out. It's the beginning of a new season. It's everything. It's everything. And if you saw, I think that was one of the factors in the Manchester United Arsenal game. As much as I want to believe we're just that good, and we're going to be churning out these performances weekly, I think there's also a factor of the first home game. Fans are going to show out, and you're going to want to show out for the fans as well. So that is definitely a factor that we must acknowledge in this game and in all the games this weekend. Because I think there is a team that has their first home game in every game. And so I think Chelsea need to bounce back also after that lifeless draw against Crystal Palace. They definitely would have wanted to get more out of that, seeing as like they're not going to say it, but their ambition this season should be to win the Premier League. I don't think many teams are going to be expecting them to make that leap, but if you watch my Premier League predictions video, I have them finishing second this season, which is a high finish. And I think that should be attainable for them. I think a question is where's Palmer going to play? There's a chance that he plays off the left and you have Neto on the right, or you have Esteval on the right, or you have Neto on the right and Esteval in the middle, or there are just a lot of options. But I think that's one thing you want to look out for. Where is Palmer going to be? I think Gittins had a decent display, but he showed that he still is going to need a little bit more time, I think, to fully integrate. But nonetheless, I'm gonna say Palmer's gonna have a great game. He's gonna be man of the match. Chelsea's going to win 3-1. They're going to bounce back after that draw against Palace. And we're going to go with the Joao Pedro goal. Joao Pedro has been scoring a lot of goals, so I think we can expect that. But Delap, we also need to watch out for Delap. Could we see Delap starting? Delap is going to want to also stake his claim for that spot. So it's going to be good that they have that competition there. I think that's going to drive them to a lot of success this season. Now, this is the game of the weekend, I think. Man City versus Tottenham. This is the game that you don't really want to miss. It's going to be pretty early if you're out here in the States like me. But I wouldn't want to miss it. I anticipate a high scoring and exciting match. I think one of the questions I would be asking is Czechie going to start? He came on and he scored instantly pretty much. And it just kind of showed like I'm basically inevitable. I'm just that good. I think, again, when he came on, though, he was playing at the 9 as a sort of false 9. So I think the main point with Czechie to keep in mind is that his out-of-possession play is not the best. And I think Pep recently talked about how transitions are more of a focal point for them this year. And I think we're going to have to keep in mind that, like, there's two sides of transitions, both in and out of possession. And I don't really think Czechie helps you in either phase when it comes to transitions. And so I think just to minimize his inadequacies out of possession, I think he's not going to be able to start. But I think just his quality that he has makes you question, should he start? I think that's always going to be a question every week. It's something that we're going to have to pay attention to for Manchester City this season. This is the first game for them at the Etihad. I said that was going to be a theme of this video. Don't underestimate that. I think that's going to be huge for Manchester City this weekend. So I would definitely pay attention to that. I think that's going to be huge for them. I mean, as much as we want to say City's not a big club, which historically I would say they're not. Recently they have become bigger and bigger, and the Etihad has really been a fortress for them. So I think we do need to think about that. Obviously, there's the main point of Savinho. Tottenham are reportedly in for Savinho, and City has rejected their bids. And apparently Spurs haven't been wanting to pay what they want, but I think it's going to be resolved soon because they're no longer in for Eze, Tottenham, so they have more money for Savinho. Also, it's becoming more pressing as the window's coming to a close. They're going to want to get signings in. They have money to spend. This is a big window for them because last season they finished like 17th, and they really are going to want to be back amongst the top 6, and I think they're going to be able to do it if they spend the money as they should. And they're in the Champions League also this season, so you need that depth. So I think, I don't know, Savinho's also a big point for this game. Is he going to start for City? I don't really think so, but you never know. He definitely could. I think Foden is available and Rodri are available. I don't think we're going to see Rodri starting because I think he's going to be eased back in. But I think Foden could definitely start, and we could see him on the right wing or the left wing. Could also probably see him at that 10. I wouldn't be surprised to see him there. But off the wings, you still have also Doku. You still have Bob. You have Oscar Bob too. I mean, there are a lot of options, and Bob played really well. I think he's one of the players that is definitely favored. So I think that is something to look out for. But ultimately, I'm going to go with 3-2 City. I think Tottenham is probably going to set up in a back three center backs. And I think they're going to try to be more solid and then hit City on the break. I think City's going to dominate the game from a possession standpoint, and they're going to look to score a lot, obviously. I mean, obviously you're going to look to score, but they're going to look to threaten them and keep the ball in their half. But I think, yeah, City, with the fans, the first game at the Etihad, it's really a fortress for them. I think I'm going to go with the 3-2 game. I think Kudus is going to get one for Tottenham, at least one off the break. Hopefully Solanke starts for them. Spurs have been having a rough time, I'd say, because, I mean, they just lost as a Kulusevski's not going to be playing until 2026. I saw they just have, I mean, Madison obviously out, I think, all season. They've been having a lot of trouble, and I think they're going to lose this game, but I think it's going to be a close game and something that they can cling on to, that, okay, this season is not going to be so bad. We're going to come back from the ashes. Next season's going to be better. On to the next game. We have Bournemouth versus Wolves. I think Bournemouth, honestly, are just better. I think Diakite and Truffert, I'm gonna guess. I mean, he was playing in Ligue 1, so I'm gonna go with the French accent. They looked good against Liverpool. I'm gonna expect some Semenyo quality. He obviously had 2 goals against Liverpool as well. We'll see off the counter attack. He's just gonna be quality. It's the first home game for Bournemouth as well. Again, that's gonna be a major theme this video. And Bournemouth are still waiting for players like Kluivert to return. But Wolves just got hammered against Manchester City, and they're going to want to come back from that. But I don't know if I see it happening. They're going to be away from home now. And I don't know. Bournemouth are just a better side for me. I'm going to go with 2-0 Bournemouth, personally. And then Burnley versus Sunderland. This is a game I'm probably not going to watch. If I'm being completely honest, nah, I'm gonna try to catch a bit of it, but I don't know, guys. This is a potential relegation fight, first home game for Burnley, so I mean that's gonna give them an added boost. But it's pretty they were pretty neck and neck in the championship when they played. Sunderland won the first game 1-0, and then the other one was a tie 0-0. Pretty boring. I think Sunderland's gonna be pretty confident off of their win, but Burnley are at home, so that's important to take note of. But I think Sunderland just had a better window. They're going to be confident off of that win, so I think that they're just going to have more firepower, and I'm just going to go with a 2-1 win for Sunderland. Burnley, I think it's going to be tough for them to get any points this season. I mean, they're going to get points, but many points rather, not any. But yeah, on to the next game. Arsenal versus Leeds. Actually, no. Brentford versus Villa. Brentford versus Villa is going to be an interesting game. Ollie Watkins against his old team. This is going to be Brentford's first home game, but I don't know how much that's really going to help them. Villa are coming off a flat draw against Newcastle. They're going to want to give a performance, certainly, knowing Unai Emery. Emi Martinez is going to be back after that suspension that he faced after that red card in the last game of the season against Manchester United. but Ezri Konsa is going to be out after his red card, and Pau Torres probably is going to be in. I think they're going to miss Konsa, but Pau Torres is a pretty good replacement. So I think Konsa is not going to be that big of a factor. Apparently, Keith Andrews said that Vissa may be included in the squad, so that's something to look out for. But ultimately, I'm going to give Villa the edge. Brentford are just so poor. Even with Vissa, I think Villa should not be underestimated ultimately. So I'm going to go 3-0 Villa. They're going to want to put in a performance after that last game. Low-key, I'm getting pretty hot. Nah, actually, I love this hoodie. I literally had the purple one, but I just copped another one of it, brown hoodie. Came out a couple years ago. The first one I initially copped for my birthday. When I want to say my senior year of high school. These are the Yeezy Gap hoodies, if you can't tell. And I just wanted to cop this one because I also have Tim's. I think it's going to match with my Tim's. I really love that hoodie because it's simultaneously a thick hoodie, so you can, when it's cold out, you can wear it and it's good, does the job. But even when it's sunny out, you're not too hot, and it works really well. This is not an advertisement, but you guys should sponsor me low-key. But anyways, Arsenal Leeds. I think Arsenal really should hammer Leeds. It's the first game of the season at home for Arsenal, and I mean it's gonna be huge for them. Obviously, the Gunners, their stadium, it's also pretty big for them. They, in recent seasons, I don't think they've lost any games there against any of the big teams. So they're also coming off an awful performance against Manchester United, where they did get the result though, which ultimately is all that matters from their perspective. But as a team that wants to win the league, they know that is built off of performances. They've been struggling for the same attacking quality that we saw the first time that they finished second. So this season, that's going to be an emphasis for them. They just signed Eze. He's probably not going to be able to feature in this game, but that shows really, after Havertz got injured, that, they're serious about this season. They're going to want that attacking firepower, but I don't think Eze is going to be able to play this game. Gyökeres is going to want to score. I think Miles Lewis-Skelly is probably going to be back into the lineup. I think we're going to see Calafiori in more of the big games, but against more of the teams that Arsenal would expect to beat, I think we're going to see Lewis-Skelly in there. Saka at left wing is something to look out for. If you were watching the United Arsenal game, we saw when Madueke came on, they tried Madueke on the left. It wasn't really working much at all. And then they put Saka out there, and that was something that was interesting. One, he created a good chance, I can't lie, off of it. And Saka's that brilliant. He could play on the left. He used to be a left wing back. He played there for England as well, I believe, in the Euros. So he can play off the left, and he's going to do a great job there. That gives them another look. And then Madueke. So I think we could see potentially Madueke start on the right, Saka on the left. Something to definitely look out for, but you could also just see Madueke come off the bench and then have Saka and Martinelli in their usual positions, or maybe even Trossard. You never know. Leeds are coming off a win, but it was just, they scored a penalty, although I will say they did play better than Everton slightly. And I don't think Leeds are going to make it easy necessarily, but I'm still going to go with the 4-0 Arsenal victory. I think we're going to see Zubimendi show more of his impact. We're going to see that synergy with Rice. I think that's going to bode well for them. I think Odegaard is going to have a strong performance. Saka's going to want to either score or assist. He's going to want to impact the game. Gyökeres as well. I think just expect a strong performance, and then obviously their backline is one of the strongest in the league, if not the strongest. So I'm going to go with a clean sheet for them. And then we got Crystal Palace versus Nottingham Forest. That game is going to be entertaining, I would say, and a little bit unpredictable. Nuno Espirito Santos, apparently, I heard he may get sacked because apparently it seemed like there is some tension over signings. And I was going to maybe make a video on Nottingham Forest. Comment if you want that video. because the signings that they were making seemed a little bit at odds with their identity, if you ask me. And it seems like apparently there were tensions over signings with Santos and the board. And I think that makes sense because when you look at them last season, they were more of a counter-attacking team. But they brought in McAtee. You saw that there were links with Rico Lewis before he signed his extension with City. So I think those things are a little bit confusing or conflicting, I guess. And then they just brought in Douglas Luiz, which I think is a great signing. Someone who I honestly wanted United to look at. Someone who did really well in the Premier League previously, at Aston Villa, obviously. But at Juve, he's had a load of injuries and it hasn't really been able to work out. He hasn't started many games. But I think it's a player that just has quality. I think is going to be great for Nottingham Forest, who are already strong last season. But Palace are coming off a draw with Chelsea, and also they won their Europe first leg tie. So that's going to be exciting, but they're going to be without Eze. Glasner talked about them being slow to find replacements for these positions, with Gahey also a Gahey move on the horizon to Liverpool as well, obviously. So I think it's going to be tough for Palace to create without Eze. But Glasner is a good coach, but Nottingham Forest are not to be underestimated, especially with the business that they've done this window. I think it's been really astute business. I think also, they lost even more. It's also, they got Hutchinson in, but it's also important to acknowledge the fact that they lost Elanga. But they're coming off a win. This is the first Palace Prem game at home. They did play at home at Selhurst Park for the Conference League tie. So that, it's not their first game at home, but it's still the first Prem game at home, and the fans are going to want to show out, and the Palace players are going to want to show out. Mateta's looking scary. He's been scoring. Chris Wood is going to be hungry too, though. It's going to be hard for Palace to create without Eze. I'm going to expect a McAtee or Hutchinson cameo, and probably Douglas Luiz to come off the bench at least, which is also going to make things interesting. And I'm ultimately going to go with 2-1 Nottingham Forest win. I just think they have more quality ultimately. They've been doing it more consistently for longer. And I just think, I don't know, Palace without Eze, I don't know how that's going to go for them, honestly, even with being at home. On to the next game. We have Everton versus Brighton. It's going to be Everton's first game at home in the new stadium, which is going to be massive for them. New stadium, obviously. First game there is going to be huge. Also first game at home. It's going to be a massive reception. They're coming off the loss versus Leeds, but expect a Grealish start, I think, and maybe Alcaraz bench, because you still want Ndiaye to play. But there's going to be no Branthwaite, Mikalenko, or Patterson, though. Still, they're all still coming off injury. So I think Everton, I think also look for Asno. They signed the Moroccan left back, Asno, who he hasn't been able to play yet, but I think he may be available. Look for him in that relationship with Grealish. He's very attack-minded, very talented player, able to invert, able to overlap as well, but watch for that invert, because Grealish thrives when he's able to be high and wide and then kind of drift inwards. Just have that player who's inverted and connect with him, and then he can then go on the outside, Asno, and then he can hit him. And I don't know, that's just going to be something to look out for. I think their relationship is going to be very interesting. Brighton are coming off of a draw to Fulham. They're going to be strong as usual, but I just question how lethal they can be in front of net with Ruter and Welbeck. These have been good players, but Welbeck, he's getting old. We say that every season, though, and he still manages to do it. But I don't know. I think they should look to bring someone in at striker, honestly, Brighton. And then also Mats Pfeiffer. He could really get torn up if he starts at right back, I think, with Grealish and Asno combining on that side, on that flank. So I think it's going to be tough, but I'm going to go with a 2-1 Everton victory. I think Moyes is going to want to get 3 points this season for the first time. And I'd expect them to go with it. On to the next game. My team, Fulham versus Manchester United. I'm going to start with Fulham. Anthony Robinson is probably still out after that knee surgery, so it looks like last game against, I think they played Brighton, like I just said. Bassey's probably going to play left back, and then Swenka at center back. It's going to be Fulham's first game at home. It's going to be a physical game. Anderson's going to be, at center back. Expect a quality performance from him. United's going to want to build off that great Arsenal performance and show it's not a fluke. So, I don't know. Who's going to start in net? Bayindir did make that mistake, but after the game, when Amorim was questioned on it, he seemed, if you looked at his eyes, he seemed like he was enraged at the question when they tried to question why Onana didn't start over Bayindir. He was like, but he was pointing to the game last season, and after the game before, he was like, oh, did you not see that game before? He had a very, very good game, very consistent performances, and he carried us through those games. Or he was very good for us in those games. So I think that's something to look out for. I am going to want Onana to start, even though I will say his ball playing, Bayindir's ball playing was spectacular against Arsenal. Straight to feet almost every single time. But I think Onana can do the same, and I'm personally more confident with Onana when it comes to shot stopping. And if we're going to be so harsh on Onana when it comes to shot stopping, we need to keep the same energy for Bayindir, and I want Onana to start. I think Šeško is probably going to start. I think Mount this time is going to come off the bench. I know Amorim loves Mount, so Mount might still start. Šeško could still maybe take his time. It might take him still some more time to completely bed in. And you also might see Zirkzee. He's available. We might see him up top, but we know Amorim has said previously that he sees him more as a 10, but he can still play at the 9. And last season, I think it was the season opener, he scored against Fulham, if people remember that. So I personally want to see some Zirkzee minutes. I don't know if it's going to be starting, though. I think Šeško probably is going to start. Mount to come off the bench. Zirkzee probably come off the bench. Mainu come off the bench. This is a team where we're going to want to dominate the ball, dominate possession in their half, and really just pepper their net with shots on goal, with just creating a lot of chances. And I think that this is something, if we were able to do it against Arsenal, we're going to definitely want to do it against Fulham. But this is also always the question with United. This is going to prove if we really are making progress, because we're always able to put performances. We always seem to come and get up for the games against the great teams, but against the mid-table sides is where we really have been needing to get our points in the league the past couple of years. And that's when we don't always come to play, don't always come to fight for the badge, don't bring that intensity always. And that's where we can get hit. Also those physical games. But this is where now the added physicality that we've built up over the summer is hopefully going to carry us to great performances. I think that we can expect a great performance here. And I think, that's what I want to see. I think since we should be controlling the ball in their half for most of the game, you're going to want to get your players with quality on the ball. I think Ahmad has to start this game. He's not going to be a bench player. I think even against Arsenal, it was a little bit questionable, but he's going to have to start this game. I think you're going to see Dorgu as well. I want to see Mainu, but I think we're going to end up seeing Casemiro and Bruno again, and Casemiro was great, so I wouldn't fault it. But Amorim also pointed to the fact, he said the young players have to also understand their phases in the season. I think he definitely has plans for Mainu, but it's good that we have a manager now that's not heaping so much pressure on the young players, that's really allowing them to develop, allowing them to grow, showing them they're going to have to put their best foot forward. They're going to have to put forward amazing performances. If you do so like Euro on a week in and week out basis, if you're our best player, you're going to play, but until you're able to really grow into the role, we're not going to just throw you overboard like we did for Højlund. And that's going to bode well for Mainu. It's going to take pressure off of him. Hopefully he's still going to be able to feature enough to get into the Euro squad. or the World Cup squad, because he's quality enough of a player to get in. He should be in that squad, if you ask me. But it's just going to come down to whether he's going to play enough to be able to show that. And without any Europe games, I think it makes it a little bit more difficult for him to get those minutes. But against the lesser teams, I think we're definitely going to see Mainu. I'm going to expect Bruno to start. Like I said, Ahmad probably going to start. I'm going to predict a 4-0 United victory with Šeško, Bumo, Cunha, and Ahmad goals. All of our new signings, I think, are going to score. It's a bit audacious, but I think we're really going to smash Fulham and show teams that this is a different United. This is a United, that this is just going to be a different season. I expect a dominant performance and us to really take it to them. I hope Cunha really gets on the ball even more and more. I think Bumo should look to be more clinical in this game, show that he's more of a lethal player. And I think it's gonna be very dangerous for them. I think one thing to look out for is Shaw. I mean, Shaw was very, very good, but will we see a Heaven start maybe? Aiden Heaven, I think he's a quality player. I think he showed that he's almost, I wouldn't say necessarily on par with Luke Shaw after that Arsenal performance, but previously he'd shown that he should be getting minutes in the squad. So that's something to look out for. I think De Ligt is going to start. He was amazing. But will we see Heaven? I think against teams like Fulham, where it's going to be physical, it's going to be, I think you may want to look at putting Heaven there. Then for the last game of the weekend, it's the Isak Derby, Newcastle versus Liverpool, a rematch of that Carabao Cup fixture that Isak won for Newcastle before he decided to completely abandon them. But apparently there were also agreements that were in place that have not been respected. So that's also something to look out for. Or that's to respect, I guess, from Isak's point of view. Also and this is something that I've been thinking about maybe writing an article about, but it's the entertainment industry. Is it really just human trafficking just right in front of us? Because they really just own these people. You know, he doesn't have agency to just leave and go to where he wants to work. Same with the artists in the music industry, so on and so forth. Let me know, comment if you want that video, if you're interested in that. But it is the Isak Derby. Newcastle, there's still no number 9 as Vissa still hasn't been signed. And apparently they're now in talks for Strand Larson potentially. But nothing has gotten over the line. But Liverpool also has a shaky defense. I think it's also important to acknowledge that. I would expect, or I would hope, that Eddie Howe would play Alenga in the 9 this time around. Murphy to start on the right, and then keep Gordon on the left, because he's not a 9, he's a winger. Alenga has played 9 before. I think he's more equipped to play 9 than Gordon is. And then I think Murphy would do a great job off the right. You want that intensity. You want those runners for the counterattacks. I think Bournemouth did well last week they profited off of keeping their wingers high and wide in defense, so that they could exploit how Liverpool's fullbacks go up so high, push up so high on the counter. So I would watch those counterattacks on Liverpool and those gaps behind the fullbacks. Expect Gravenberch to start this time around. He was only not able to play because he was serving a suspension. I think Maka is probably going to fall out of the starting lineup because apparently he's not fully fit. And I think this is going to give Liverpool more control and a little bit less chaos in transition for Liverpool. But I would still be a little bit worried. I'd still watch out a little bit for that, because I think Konate was just a little bit shocking. Same as Kirkez, but I mean, Kirkez was, I think, PFA player or team of the season. So, I mean, we know his quality. I think he's going to bounce back. But just keeping in mind how high Kirkez and Frimpong are going to push, I think that's still something that we need to look out for. I think Wirtz is going to have a much better game. I mean, he's a world-class player. I've said it so many times. I think he's gonna try to dominate this game, because moving forward, I mean, I think he's going to be one of the players of the season for sure. I think he's definitely going to be the signing of the season. And off that performance, it's a little bit bold to say that, but I mean, that's just what I'm going to go with. And yeah, so let me know guys what you thought of that. Let me know if I'm right. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube, to my Substack. Subscribe to YouTube at Toa TV, my Substack at Erwin Toa Photo, and then check out my Instagram as well at E_T_media to check out my promos for these videos, as well as some hot takes and, you know, memes, things of that nature. But yeah, just let me know in the comments what you thought. What did I get wrong? What did I get right? And who are your favorite players? Who's in your FPL team? All of that kind of stuff, as well as things that I could do to improve. I'm just starting out in this, guys, and I want to build a big community. I want to make good content for you guys. So let me know what is working, what is not working, so that I can make it better for you guys in the future, and that we can continue to grow. So hope you guys have a great weekend, and hope you guys enjoy this great Premier League weekend with me. And yeah, see you guys next time.